and gentlemen, and you're welcome to another episode of Youth Arise Chatline. My name is Emmanuel Akaiso, and it is mind-blowing to have you join us on the show today. How are you doing, and how has your week been for the past 7 days? How is life generally, and how are you coping with the post-pandemic era? So on today's show, we have a very interesting topic called fraud and prostitution. And with me in the studio, the two amazing people that will be introducing themselves right about now. Starting with the beautiful lady.
Hi guys, welcome to the show. My name is Lisa Akuna.
Okay, and the handsome guy beside us.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Adebisi.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have two amazing people in the studio with myself. It's so amazing to have you guys join us. Do not forget you can call into the show with the numbers displayed on the screen. You should like, comment, and share this link with all your family and friends so that they can be part of this conversation. This is a very interesting conversation, and I want to put a disclaimer out there that we're not here to judge. We're just here to discuss about this and to see how God helps us drive home a point that God is God and God is our help at all times. So I want to start with my male guest, Mr. Right. Steve. Yes. Now, to you personally, as a man in this generation where men have huge responsibilities, right, what would you describe fraud as? Because we're discussing this topic. So what would you describe fraud as? Everybody watching us, you can also drop comments in the comment section. What is fraud to you? What is prostitution? And we can talk. Yes, Mr. Steve.
Right. So speaking about fraud, it is a deliberate act.
Okay.
Or inaction. So you can either choose to act or choose not to act with the end goal of obtaining unauthorized benefits from a person or from an institution. So sometimes it is your action, and at some other times it's your inaction to actually do something to obtain unauthorized gains, benefit. It could be financial, it could be status, from a person or from an organization. That's what I say fraud as.
I love the word you use, deliberate action.
I mean, it's intentional.
Yeah, it's very intentional. So it's not just something you just made by mistake, but it's a deliberate effort that you put into getting that certain thing. So that's really mind-blowing. Guys watching us at home, ladies watching us at home, what do you think fraud is to you personally? And I want to ask you, Miss Lisa, from a female's perspective, before I ask for the male's perspective, what would you describe prostitution as? Because the topic is fraud and prostitution, and from history, prostitution is actually the longest trade ever, like in the history of the world. Right from the time of Jesus, in fact, before Jesus said there was prostitution, right from the time of David and all of that. So to you as a lady in the 21st century, what do you describe prostitution as?
From the dictionary, I would say prostitution is sexual activity with someone for payment. Yes, that's what I would say. And prostitution can be, this generation now, an occupation. That's what they say.
Right.
So I don't want to say too much about
No,
that.
Please feel free to say.
I will just give the definition of what prostitution is, which is sexual activity to get money. Yes.
So prostitution is a sexual activity, and I feel that sexual activity is actually deliberate as well.
Yes.
So it's not as if they fell into it. It's something that you deliberately. Yeah, it's a deliberate act. Okay, so I want to ask this question. Now, do you think that people that are in relationships that are not yet married and they're having sex, do you feel that that's actually prostitution? Or do you feel like they have to wait till they get married before it's no longer prostitution? What do you have to say, bringing a balance to that?
Well, there is a stark difference between prostitution and fornication. There's a stark difference.
Okay.
Now, like Lisa mentioned, prostitution is any form of sexual activity.
Okay.
Now, I like the use of word activity because it doesn't have to be sexual intercourse.
Sure.
It could be any form of sexual activity with an expectation of payment. And then this person you are engaging in this activity with is not a spouse and not your friend. I mean, sometimes we've got friends with benefits, it's a popular term right now. But these people that we're talking about, they're not your friends, they're not your spouse, but then you engage in sexual activities
and you get some money for it.
And you get paid for it. That is what prostitution is about. Awesome stuff. Okay, so I'll just like to take this comment from YouTube.
Pius Emmanuel 48 is saying, fraud is an illegal means of getting what doesn't belong to you using tactics and intentional strategies. Somebody say strategies. Okay, Marilyn Mutandara from Facebook is sending us love emojis. She's also saying, my people, well done. Oh, Lisa, baby, I see you. Now, I've been in certain situations where I hear people say, okay, I had to do fraud because I did not have a choice. I had to do fraud because I was broke, and, you know, I have different stories. For example, somebody's saying, I went into prostitution and internet fraud to help sustain and keep my family. I'm not a prostitute, but okay, to help sustain and keep my family. So do you think the reasons why people go into fraud and prostitution, do you think it's justifiable? Do you think it's something that, okay, because you are broke and you go into prostitution, okay, it's okay, we will allow you pass? What do you think? Coming from a female's perspective, Lisa, what do you think?
Yeah, so many people have reasons to why they go into something.
Okay.
And the truth is, everybody's reason is somehow justifiable to them, and they'll tell you that you don't experience it the way, or you've not experienced what they have experienced, or you're not experiencing what they are experiencing. So most times the only thing they should have at the back of their mind is the end. Like what do you stand to gain at the end? What holds for you at the end? That's just what you should have at the back of your mind.
So what do you think, Mr. Steve? Because Miss Lisa is saying the end goal. That means what is the end goal of after the prostitution? So what do you think, especially with fraud and prostitution right now?
I mean, it's not just about fraud and prostitution, right? A lot of people have valid reasons for whatever things they do. People make choices and they try to justify those choices. But one thing is, the lack of a choice in itself is a choice. So if you don't choose to do something, it's also a choice. So people have been in different situations and tough situations, and yet they made a choice not to go into prostitution and fraud. So people would present legit reasons. For example, let's say we set up a meeting and someone comes late. There is always a valid reason why the person came late. And there's also a valid reason why the person who came early also came early. So it's all about life and choices. People choose to do whatever they want to do at particular times. Yes, the world has gone into chaos. There's poverty everywhere and all that. But look, choosing to go into fraud and prostitution is not the only way to sustain a family or to get some financial gains at some point. So I do believe that people have reasons, they validate those reasons, but it's also up to them whether they choose to or do not go into fraud and prostitution.
Awesome, thank you for that. Ms. Lisa?
Also, I want to say something, or I want to ask.
Yes.
Like we said, it's a deliberate act. Prostitution is a deliberate act. How about those people that it wasn't deliberate, like they were sold into sexual slavery? What would you say about them?
Okay, Mr. Steve, do you want to go first, or should I say something?
I think you should go first.
Okay, so yes, thank you so much for that question, Ms. Lisa, because I know that there are people that, like, probably they were told they are going to certain countries to get jobs, and at the end of the day, they get sold into prostitution. I feel like the only person that can help you in that situation is God. Because, like, sometimes they get your passports, you're locked up, and they put you in a certain house, like, so you need help. And that help can only come from God. Because at that point, there's nowhere you're going to. You don't have any papers, you don't have any documents. So it's a very crazy, dicey situation. But I'll say the only person that can help you is God.
So would you say that they actually have choices at that moment? Would you say they have choices?
At that moment, okay, Mr. Steve,
no, they do not have choices. But let's backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
So if you remember, there was a crisis in Libya one time about the sex trafficking and all of that. So when people are forced into sex trades, personally, now this is a personal point of view, I don't see it as prostitution. Because that was not the decision that they made. They made a decision to go elsewhere to better their lives. They found themselves in those situations, and there was probably no way out of it for them. So it's not a deliberate act for them. And also, we said at the beginning that a person who is into prostitution, it is deliberate, it is intentional, and at the same time, it is consensual.
So
but a lot of these
they gave
people,
the permission for that.
Yes, a lot of these people who are like trafficked into sex trade and all that, it's most of the time not consensual. So I see those kind of actions even as rape. Even though they get paid, it is still rape.
And
because
even,
it's not consensual.
yeah, and also at the end of the day, when those guys get rescued, you see that they have to look for the people that put them into that, charge them to court, they get into, they get the jail sentences, and this, the victims go through rehabilitation process.
Yeah.
But like when you look at people that go into prostitution, you cannot jail anybody because you put yourself in it. It's like a deliberate act.
Right.
So like there's just a difference between the two of them.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to read a few comments before we continue. Thank you so much. Okay, from Facebook, Mr. Simon is saying, love to see your lovely faces. Let's shake some table tonight. Amen. Mr. Toromade John Adewale says, please, what of church prostitution? Please, sir, can you explain more on that? Akiumi Olayinka says, hello, everybody. Actually, what I think is it's a deliberate decision because as a lady, you could actually go into something else, like being a maid, rather than going into prostitution. Ms. Okoyemi is saying, we don't gather here. Hi, Ima and Lisa. Hi, Mr. Steve. Good to see you guys. God bless you. Please keep your comments coming. Okay, we've spoken about the fact that some people have madams. Like, I don't know, Lisa just took that out of my mouth. Like, it was just very, very important. And now I want us to look at this part of fraud where people think that they are taking the money that the white people stole from them. So it's like, the reason why I'm doing this is because the white people stole money from us.
I've also heard someone use this part of the scripture, like Jacob.
Okay.
And Jacob, yes. Okay. That Jacob was smart enough to
Only
defraud his brother. So God understood the situation, and then he still progressed. So some people are.
There have been several like biblical allusions to fraud. For example, some people would go with Psalm 41 verse 9, which is also like, if you like put it together, it's 419.
Whoa!
Right,
that's
and
huge.
it talks about actually taking something from someone. But again, those are people who are for fraud. And people who are against fraud also quote Philippians 4:19, which says, my God will supply all of my needs according to his riches. So I don't have to get into fraud to do that. So there are always biblical allusions. Like someone told me one time and said, people oftentimes quote the scriptures to suit their immediate purposes. But studying the scripture is more about inductive studying. So see what comes before and what comes after. Don't just speak a verse and then say that's applicable.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much. I really love that. Don't just speak a scripture and just apply it to your life just like that. You have to understand the concept and what exactly God was talking about when those scriptures were released through men. Now, I want us to look at the negative effects of fraud and prostitution in our society today. And before we do that, guys, what do you think? What are the negative effects of fraud and prostitution? Have you ever been in a situation where you felt embarrassed because people of your nationality actually did some certain things? And we'll be focusing on this for the next couple of minutes. What are the negative effects that you've been through? And I know, like, when we're talking about fraud, please, can we like give examples? And actually like prostitution as well. Because like, fraud now, everybody's thinking internet fraud. Those people that used to lie to their daddy and mommy that my school fees is 13,000 naira. Meanwhile, your school fees is 4,500 is a fraud stuff that you have done. And go and return the money back. I'm just joking, but like that's also part of fraud. People that you want to marry a particular guy, you have already collected money from the guy. You now say you're not marrying again. You just duped somebody deliberately. You've already collected 1.2 million. You now say you're not doing. That's also fraud.
Let's even shake some more tables.
People that sell goods and they twice the price.
The price
is way too much.
Or Instagram people that are selling hair, and I don't mean you will not deliver the right products to them. That's also fraud.
What
Mr.
I ordered versus what
I got.
Also, I wanted to touch on padded CVs.
Like, this table, LinkedIn.
In the professional world now, because we live in a world where transferable skills are what is obtainable. So if you have some transferable skills, you can actually work in any field. But for you to become like admired or sought out, then people patch some stuff into their CV and profile and everything. It's fraud.
So are you trying to say, if you know that normal cliche word that you say, fake it till you make it. Are you trying to say it's wrong? Are you saying it's fraud?
I'm going to talk my back and tell you it's fraud.
Okay, I would say something about that one. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I believe in discipline and excellence. I believe in consistency. And over time, God will bless you. People that faked it till they made it, it's not everybody. Some people faked it and they died. Some people faked it and they ended up in debt. because you're trying to fix something you cannot defend. Some people fake certain things and they get to the office, you've already added some skills to yourself.
Right.
You not get there, you cannot deliver. For example, you padded your CV that you can speak 5 languages: Spanish, French, English, German. You not get it, they say you come and translate in the UN.
No, I mean, like,
Oh God.
fake it till you make it actually isn't about saying you are what you're not. It's about do it afraid. So for example, you start, let's say, videography, for example.
Okay.
Like someone offers you a job. Don't say no. Just tell them, this job, I can do this for you pro bono.
Okay.
All right? Do it, deliver the job, and improve your skills as you go.
Yeah.
That's what the concept of fake it till you make it is. Not lie until you make it. No, that's not what it is. It's
Awesome.
about doing things afraid and developing as you go.
Awesome.
I also wanted to mention something before we move on to the negative effects of prostitution and fraud. So we've talked about prostitution from sex trafficking perspective, from brothels perspective. We also have like upgraded versions of prostitution.
Escorts.
We've got escort services. We've got
premium client services.
I mean, like nowadays, it's so difficult to open Instagram in public because all sort of things pop up on Instagram.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Now there are so many weird, wild Instagram shows, live shows. And also, why I'm saying it's prostitution is because now Instagram has this this provision
Sponsored
where
ads.
you can buy badges to
Okay,
support whoever is having that show. So people pay for those kind of nudity, and then they say, okay, we're supporting this person. That's one. We've also got OnlyFans, which is explicitly prostitution. You pay a subscription and then you go on OnlyFans and blah blah blah. And truth be told, we have a lot of people, they are our friends, sisters, brothers that have this kind of account. They wouldn't tell you about it, but if you dig deep enough, you'll probably find some stuff about that.
Okay, thank you very much. So one negative side effect of fraud and prostitution I'd like to talk about is the fact that it affects other people of your nationality. Like for example, if you're from a certain country and it spreads. I don't want to mention names, but you know what I'm talking about. We have people that the FBI, these guys are tailing. Every time they are always in court for one issue to another, and all of a sudden it's like your passport has lost its value. Like you are at the airport and they're telling you, remove your belt, remove your shoe, do this, do that. What do you carry in your bag? What do you have in this and all of that? And at the end of the day, you get to certain places you cannot even defend yourself very well because the next thing they're asking you is everybody in your country like this? Because what they've seen of us from what they hear that we do is the negative things, and this has really affected us. I've been a victim of, in fact, okay, so let me quickly share the story. I was somewhere in a country on holiday and I got arrested. Why was I arrested? My friend was driving, then she got tired. She's watching this. So she got tired. And I said, okay, you know what, let me drive you, to the petrol station and let's just rest. So I got arrested by the police because my driver's license was not with me. I think I forgot my wallet in the restaurant where we ate. But at the end of the day, we got to meet the sheriff of that locality where we were. And the sheriff was like, okay, I will help you and everything. So immediately I showed my passport out. The sheriff was like, no, you people in this country, you have money. That even if I'm not charging you, I'm going to collect that money that you people have. And in my head, I was like, I'm just a tourist here on holiday, like, sir, what's good? Excuse me, sir, what's good? And I was like, no, you people have money. And now the man told me that they arrested somebody of my nationality 3 days before that day, that the person was holding $50,000 on the streets in the night without a residency in that country. And I was like, okay, I'm used to these kind of things. What do you have to say? Negative effects. And guys, do you have negative effects, things that you felt bad about? Fraud and prostitution? Drop it in the comments and we'll definitely read it. Yes.
I mean, you're spot on with this generalization that is going on right now based on nationalities and stuff. I play a lot of online games on my phone and like I play PUBG sometimes, I play Call of Duty sometimes. So I was playing on an American server one time and they were like, it's a 14 kind of game. So I was playing with these guys, 3 of them Americans, and then we were talking about the headphones and they asked me where I was from. I told them, and the next thing they asked me was, are you a prince?
African prince!
Exactly.
Hey, African
when
prince!
He said that, I got mad at them and I was like, what sort of stupid generalization is this? I mean, because you've like read or probably experienced stuff like that does not mean everyone does this kind of stuff. They apologize in the end, but this is what happens. My elder brother lives in the UK. He called me like 3 weeks ago. He's got a friend, a British lady, that is in a relationship with a Nigerian guy. And my brother told me that this girl wants to do some background checks, some digging into this guy, because she'd had experiences with 3 guys prior to this guy. They've told her, oh, blah, 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 this, I love you and all that. But then later she finds out that they're married back home with kids and all that. They're probably into fraud and things like that. So it is becoming a huge problem everywhere you go. The moment you say where you're from, that's a problem. Let me bring it home here in this present location where we are. Where I used to work before, there was a guy. He was working there, and I don't want to go into too much details, but something happened and shit hit the fan. This guy just disappeared from work. Like, boom. Till date, nobody knows where he went and all that. And guess what? We carry the same passports.
Wow.
And from that point in time, anyone carrying this passport that we carry that comes for interview, they always give them hard times, even if you're the best at what you do.
This is very painful. Before I allow Miss Lisa, okay, you have a comment. You want to read something?
From Emmanuel Adakapayo, he says, those who were coerced into sexual acts can be called prostitution. It is not really intentional. They are not in the charge of their choices, just like what we discussed earlier. So I think that's all. Okay. From
YouTube, Damien Dixon, I hope I got that right. I'm really sorry. Tables are being broken. Good one, guys. I celebrate you. He also says, I think prostitution is a choice. Fraud too is a choice. You can choose to do hard work, like work in a factory, but the fact that our generation wants it easy, they choose these ways to make money.
Sure.
But you know, okay, so let's just focus on the negative effects. So I feel you should say something, Lisa. What do you have to say about
one of the negative effects? I'll talk on prostitution. I would say sexual abuse. Which is not good for a woman. And also my experience, I've had an experience because of my skin color here in Istanbul.
Wow.
Yes, I think when I came earlier. I was seeing a friend off, and then there was this guy on his scooter. He was just after me. It was in the evening, late in the evening, and he was just following me. And other people were just staring because they knew I was the only black girl in the area there, and they were staring at me. And then he now came and he was like, I have money, plenty money, and he brought out money. I felt disgusted. I felt, well, I didn't regret being an African. I didn't regret being black. I didn't regret being a Nigerian. But that narrative of, oh, black girls are into this is so very wrong.
Wow, that's so painful. Okay, so I have a few comments. Miss Okoyemi is saying, life is full of choices. She also says, we gather here. Okay. Oluwatomi is saying, God bless Sister Lisa for that. God bless you too. Guys, please drop your comments in the comment section and I will definitely read it. Can you share your story with us? Have you ever been in a situation where you felt, really bad about, you being associated, or people from your country being associated with fraud and prostitution? So I'd just like to, read a few questions, and I just want us to talk about it before, we continue. Lisa, you want to say something? No. Okay. So this person says, I am not into prostitution. I'm just an escort.
Okay.
No sex, but just hugs, kiss, and little body contact. Is it wrong? And another person is saying, I'm not a prostitute. I just have a sugar daddy who pays my bills. She just has a sugar daddy. Daddy just pays the bill, and we just get things done. I don't need to stress myself. I'll just watch NSPDD and pray for daddy, and God will just come in the name of Jesus. Okay, so
some days ago I posted something. I said you can't be a side chick and also a prayer warrior. It's not possible. It's not possible.
So like when I saw this, I don't know, what do you guys have to say about it?
I would say for this side, the escort.
Okay.
You collect money.
For what you're doing.
So from our definition from the onset, we talked about prostitution. You indulge in all these things. You say you don't have sexual activities or what?
No. She doesn't have sexual intercourse.
Just hugs and kiss.
All of them are sexual activities.
Little body contact.
All of them are sexual. I'm sorry. All of them are sexual activities. Some of us don't want it to be termed. They don't want to be termed that because they know it's so big. But let's say the truth, let's just face the fact.
Yeah.
It is called prostitution.
Mm-hmm.
And for the person that said, oh, I have a sugar daddy,
Mm-hmm.
you meet his needs and he also supports your needs. So it's still called prostitution.
For my God will provide your needs according to his riches in glory
Not
in
sugar
Christ
daddy
Jesus.
providing needs. God is supposed to provide your needs.
Okay, so Mr. Steve, I want to ask you this one.
Right.
I am a manager who organizes a club,
Okay.
which also includes arranging sexy girls for shows.
Okay.
Yes, so what do you have to say about it? Well,
For shows.
it's as if we are coming for those who that did both cruise in summer, but we cover it with the blood of Jesus.
Okay,
Let's just go on.
The entertainment industry is a
Yeah.
dicey one. There's so
True.
many things going on in the entertainment industry right
Yeah.
now. So for shows, actually needs to be clarified. What kind of shows? Are these shows with happy endings, so to speak? If that's it, then you are enabling, funneling, channeling prostitution. Now, if it is kind of shows where people come, they dance and do also,
Yeah.
maybe you're not engaging in prostitution, but
Yeah.
still you are. I don't want to be too scriptural, but the Bible says, flee all appearance of
Yeah,
evil.
please, flee now.
Appearance of prostitution
Exactly.
is somewhere around there. So,
It's appearance.
yeah, appearance of prostitution is somewhere.
And if you're not careful, also, if you're not careful and anything happens to any of those girls, you could be charged for
Yeah.
being a pimp.
Yeah,
Like-
a pimp,
And you know,
exactly.
and before you know, it could be like a sex trade thing, and you can get in big trouble. So, like, I feel we should be careful with that. Okay, so Damon Dixon is saying, well, I haven't had any bad mention. This is from YouTube. For my country, they only associate all Nigerians to Stephen Appiah, who was a great footballer at Fenerbahce Football Club. Excuse me.
Nice.
We also have is it Samuel Amokachi or Samson Amokachi? We also have JJ Okosha,
It's
please,
Daniel.
please, Daniel, please,
Daniel
please.
Amokachi.
Excuse me, sir. Okay, when there is exchange of pleasure for money, then it is prostitution. That's really amazing. Mr. Enes Osadolo is saying life gives you options, you make decisions.
Absolutely.
That's
I like
powerful.
That yeah.
Life gives you options, you make decisions. Okay, so before I continue on this, I just want to ask this question going forward. Let's just go back a little into this aspect. I am into prostitution and internet fraud to help sustain and keep my family. I am not a prostitute, but most of my friends are into prostitution and they've been inviting me to join them. They live large and this is tempting. Do you have any advice for me? Because it's like this person, they have friends that are into prostitution and somebody else, that's like the breadwinning job for the family and they're providing for the family. So what do we have to say about that kind of thing? How do we encourage them?
I'm not big on advice, okay? Because, I mean, everyone these days is a motivational speaker. They say, if you're a butterfly, you can carry a rock if you put your mind to it. I don't believe in all of those kind of stuff. However, surround yourself with the kind of vibes you want to put out. So if you surround yourself with these kinds of people, you eventually would fall into that same situation that they are into. Also, there was a time that God asked, I think it was Elijah, he said, what do you see? Now, there's a difference between what do you see and what can you see. Oftentimes, we can see so many things, all right? So if all you see is prostitution, then you're already falling into that. But what do you see? I see myself without this situation becoming a prosperous person. Then you're going to move above that situation. So surround yourself with like-minded people who are not into that stuff. Yes, it might be tempting right now, but I share a personal experience. Sometimes I got involved in some shitty things. Everything I acquired from them, I lost one way or the other. Repercussion always comes. I think we're still going to get to some of these
the repercussion. Yes, we're going to talk about that. Okay, so guys, I want to ask you this question for everybody watching. Please keep your comments coming. Like, keep buzzing the comment section both on YouTube and on Facebook, and don't forget to share this link. These are topics and questions that a lot of young people are going through and they don't have anybody to answer for them, and we're bringing this balanced point of view. So share it with your family, your friends, and let them learn from this. Okay, Lisa, I want to ask you this question. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody in church duped you? Like I want to mention one, but let me like
I'll bring to that.
Are you saying duped, like cheated me or something?
Yeah, maybe cheated, duped, like maybe you guys did business together, or you were expecting something and the person defrauded you. Like, have you ever been in that kind of situation?
I really haven't been in that kind of situation.
Okay, so me, I want to talk on behalf of my friend that said that they are shy to talk. School agents that tell people that when they get to certain countries, they will go to Europe. And they ended up collecting millions of naira from those students. And at the end of the day, they did not go anywhere. And they didn't know that it was their life savings. The mom sold 2 plots of land that she inherited from her father. As a result of that, the mother died.
Wow.
And they are stuck now in that country for 5 years now. Wow. And when they saw this topic, they were like, Emmanuel, please talk about this. What do we do? Or what can we say to agents that, you know, they do admission stuff? Now, this one is not African Prince or anything, but like they lied to them. I said, you're going to so place, just pay this amount of money, and they paid all of this money. I mean, wow, they cannot even leave the city where they are. and it's like a really painful thing. They've been stuck for 5 years. They cannot even renew their residency in the country where they are right now, and it's just painful. So what do we say about that? Guys, have you been in a situation where, and they were members of the church, like my church member back home somewhere said there's this place like that and all of that, and you know they ended up being in trouble. So I think I've been in a situation where, you know, you were defrauded by a church member, or somebody in the church did something back to you, or even anybody, and if you want to share with us, please, you know, just drop it in the comment section and we'll talk about this. Yes, Mr. Steve, you want to say something?
I've heard a story similar to what you just shared that happened here in this country. And this person that actually, for the lack of a better word, defrauded these young people is a minister.
Whoa, okay. This table
is a minister. I'm not saying a pastor, I'm saying a minister. So it's someone that is also like serving on the altar and all that. He took money from these people and zip, nothing happened. And each time they confront him, because they're still seeing, he has all of this fancy, bold-faced responses to, was it no help? I was trying to help and this kind of stuff. So these things happen within the household of faith. And sometimes people are not even remorseful about it. Another one I heard about, I mean, like, here in Istanbul, a lot of us are teaching English as a foreign language and stuff like that. There are certifications you need to get to make that work. Some people take money from others, promising to help them with this certification. They hand them fakes, and this causes troubles for them when they go for interviews and all that. I've seen not one, not two, not three of this kind of stuff, and within the same church.
So somebody is saying, wow, this is mind-blowing. Somebody is saying, Demi Dixon is saying on YouTube, for the person doing fraud and prostitution to support the family, their name is not Jehovah Jireh. It's not, it's not in their place to compulsively be a provider and play the role of God in the lives of your family. When you try to be El Shaddai, you will end up being I shall die.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Damien Dixon is saying, personal experience from church. 16 guys paid $700 each for residence permits and none got it. And we haven't seen the person anymore. The good side is he brought me to the church. Aww.
Wow. This table is broken.
Okay, because at this point I don't know what to say, because like this
this
is really, really mind-blowing. Guys, wherever you're watching us from, please drop comments, let us discuss and let's have a conversation. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been, you know, duped by members of the church or somebody close to you? Now I want to go into this part, guys, and I want us to be sincere. What can the church do about fraud and prostitution generally? Because, this thing we're talking about now, people expect the church to be the household of faith, to uplift our hearts. Because there was something I read last year, this year, during the pandemic, that a lot of people did not go into so much depression because churches were opened online. So people could connect to the church. So people's faith were uplifted. People had hope to the church, like, oh, my pastor told me this week is my week, or my pastor gave a word, or there was a minister that gave a word, and they were encouraged. But like generally, what do you do to, what do we have to say about that? Especially, some of these people are in the church, some of these people sow seeds here and there, they do some certain things. So like, what can the church do about this? What do you think the church can do about this? Mr. Steve, because I feel like you're saying something. What do you think? And guys, also, those of you watching, what do you think what role do you think the church can play to help this menace that's going on in society today? What role do you think the church can play? Yes,
so I think first, the church needs to stop gratifying the proceeds from fraud.
But like, how would the church know? Like, the church cannot know.
Exactly.
Because like the money is not written on the money that this is it.
Yes.
You know?
All right, so I mean, we've talked about intentional acts and all that.
Yeah.
There are times when within the climate you operate, you know, as a minister, as a pastor, as a church owner, that the lot of the people in your country, in your congregation, they are involved in this kind of act. However, let me frame some things here. Now, these are things that I've heard time and time again. So, for example, I was listening to a pastor, and this pastor was like leading some prayer points, and the pastor was saying something like, "This week you're going to catch a big fish," all right? And this was in a congregation where you know that these people are involved in fraud. Another one, like things like you will get alerts, or you will get to a place of fulfillment where you will start counting $50,000 and all that.
Or you will
those
receive,
kind of things.
Or you will receive alarm this week, not alert, alarm.
So those kind of things actually, not directly, but indirectly enable the mindset of people to go into fraud. For example, if you say that the place of fulfillment for a person is when you're touching hundreds of thousands of dollars, and this person, you have no idea what kind of business this person is doing and all those things. A person who does 9 to 5 in a factory and gets, let's say at the end of the month, 4,000 Turkish liras, are you trying to say that this person is not in a place of fulfillment? So if churches stop enabling, gratifying, rationalizing the proceeds from funds, that would go a long way in curbing the mindset of people as to why they get into fraud in the first place.
Awesome. Sister Lisa, do you have anything to say? I should just say, okay. And I just want to also add to that, you know, aside that, the church should also help follow up. Because that's why it's a church. Help follow up, help understand where your church members are coming from, like what Mr. Steve said, and that will give you background. And I also want to talk about family. So many parents are putting undue pressure on their children. So many parents are putting unrealistic expectations on their kids. And it is forcing some certain people to go outside to do certain things. Because you hear some people say, oh, now for my family, now for my papa, it's for my mother, it's for this person, and it's unrealistic. So I believe that we can also start from the household. Let every, you know, you are a young person, you are not yet a father, start investing, start doing something better, so that your children will not be forced into these things and put blame on their parents. Because truth be told, any father that is comfortable and mother that's comfortable and they're giving the best to the kids, and the kids decide to do rubbish, then it's the fault of the child and not that of the parent. So as family members, let us also do the needful. Okay, Miss Marilyn Mutendera is saying, I have a question. Your mom and dad on the deathbed, and the doctor says they cannot do anything without a deposit. You have done all you can, and your only hope says for them to help you, you have to sleep with them. What do you do? Mr. Dixon on YouTube said, if you claim to be El Shaddai, then you always be I shall die. So I think that just answers that question.
I'm going to also add to the answer to that question. So if you say, fine, you're doing this to save the life of a family member, and in the act of getting into that sexual activity and all that, you contract a sexually transmitted infection or whatever. People would argue and defend and say that, okay, yeah, I use protection and all that. But there are things that are passed down, not just through sexual intercourse, but fluids like sweat, saliva, and all those kind of things. If you get something from there, then you've not just endangered your family, you've also endangered yourself trying to save your family.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, Mr. Adeni is saying, these are flimsy excuses they give so that they won't be judged. It is what it is. Scam, na scam. Fraud, na fraud. We should stop using grammar to make stealing sounds good to the ears.
Right.
So please, let's do the needful. Okay, so I just want to go to this other side. Now, this question, I don't know how to really like draft it. Okay, so somebody's saying, I don't participate in internet fraud. I just help in money pickup, like MoneyGram, Western Union, and I get my commission.
Right.
Is it wrong? Then somebody is also saying, what if it's an emergency where you can't think of any other? Okay, that was the same thing Miss Marilyn was saying, like emergency hospital bills and all that. Okay, we've talked about that. But this person, I do not participate in internet fraud. I just help to pick, I just help for money pickup, MoneyGram, Western Union, etc., and I get my commission. Is it wrong?
Let me also add another question to that question.
Add it, yes.
I do not participate in internet fraud, but I have a boyfriend that does internet fraud.
But like, okay, two questions. Okay,
yes.
Can we pick it one by one? Mr. Steve, you want to say something before because I also want to say something.
Go for it.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to ask, like, I just want to say that the Bible says God will bless the works of your hands. Let's look at this let's look at it like this. Which work will God be blessing? Is it the fraud that the boyfriend is doing that God will be blessing? So when you are praying, like you said something like, you cannot be a side chick and a prayer warrior. When you are busy praying for your boyfriend, God bless him. Which kind of, where will God bless? Is it the fraud that God will bless? That's one side.
Can I interrupt you a quick second?
Yes, please.
Yeah, still talking about the church and fraud and all that.
Yeah.
Like, you hear things from the church like, God has blessed you. Your hand has touched money. You came from the village, and now you're touching hundreds of thousands of dollars, and yet you're still misbehaving. Can we outrightly say that God actually blessed
those people,
someone with proceeds from fraud? I think that's part of enabling
the mindset. So
in church.
I also feel like the way words are crafted,
Absolutely.
it's very powerful, very powerful. Mr. Simon is saying our society should stop encouraging these activities by placing undue pressures on our youth. As every part of our society, music, movies, and others promote and encourage these things. Thank you so much for bringing that up. That's so profound, because a lot of times, I also spoke about that from family. It's like, oh, I must be married before I'm 25. I must have my house before I'm 27. I must have $50,000 stacked up before I'm 26. And these are like very unrealistic, especially with the terrains where we are in the world. And like all of these are actually causing so much harm than good on young people in society today. Okay, somebody say, I almost got into Yahoo, and I did not being the pastor we have in our Citizen Life Assembly, because things were so hard. The fact that he is so humble and can connect with everyone of any standard made it easy to talk to him. Church should be the place where we can open up when we have problems. In law, there is something called aiding and abetting, and that's equal to the crime. You pick up money. Okay, that's equal to the crime of picking up money, as good as you're doing the fraud. Okay, so picking up money is as good as doing the fraud, because it's aiding and abetting for fraud. Okola Oluwafemi says, to answer the recent question, you are an accomplice and accessory to fraud.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because like if you're caught by the law.
I mean, also, exactly, that was what I was going to get to. Like, who gets arrested? It's the person that goes into the bank to pick up the money. And then after that, you have to say who sent you to pick up the money. So think about it from that perspective. You go to the bank, you pick up the money. Something goes burst, you're the first person that is in line. You have the receipt, you have the proceeds,
and some of them even fake passports. Some of them fake passports and identities, and you get in trouble. And the funny thing is, when they lock you up and your parents read it on the newspaper or on the blogs, because it's going to take a while for them to see it, they're going to be like, this is not their child, because I don't even want to go there. I was chatting with somebody recently, Holy Spirit, should I touch on this? But let me try. I was chatting with somebody recently, and the person felt sad, and I was like, what was going on? The person said his friend was doing the fraud on a little level, then added jazz to it. And the friend died.
Oh, Lord.
And like, it's a crazy thing. So people add that to what they're doing, and it's wrong. It is what it is. It's wrong. Let's not do that. Okay, Mr. Adakapayo says, such person may not be the main thief, but they are partners in crime. Like, come in peace. So we have main actor and supporting actor. The Lord is with you. People are going to win the Oscar awards. It is well. Okay, so planning to round up on this, I want us to look at the dangers of prostitution and fraud, and we'll talk about the solutions. Lastly, then we'll round up. Yes, what do you think are the dangers to these things? And I know it's also part of negative effects in some way, but I just want us to talk about a few things. Guys, what do you think are the dangers for fraud and prostitution and this solution? Then, in the solution part, I'll share my story with you guys and we'll wrap up. Yes, does anybody want to say something?
I want to touch on one of the dangers of fraud.
Yes, please.
Now, I read a very disturbing statistics.
Okay.
That by 2022, the spending on cybersecurity is expected to reach $135 billion, which means that the money that is supposed to go into the education of the upcoming generation, that is supposed to go into health, that is supposed to go into infrastructure, will be focused only on cybersecurity, so that we can prevent all of these internet frauds and things going on. So that is a major red flag of why people should stop engaging in fraud. Because it might look like it seems good right now, but when all of this money, instead of going into infrastructure, health, education, start going to cybersecurity, then there will be a huge gap in all of these other facets of life.
Okay. Now, somebody's saying on YouTube, Jemima Peters, please, I hope I got that name right. Jemima Peters is saying, how about those that flex with those that engage in fraud? Are they also part of fraud? Two things I would say. Show me your friend and I'll do what? I'll tell you who you are. Another one, you are the representation of the association. So if they meet you outside and they arrest them, what will they call you? Whether you are there or you are not there, you are enjoying the money with them. You are an accomplice. Like, it's just very simple. And the funny thing is, this your friends will be able to snitch on you and say, you see that I'm speaking. So you just have to be careful so you avoid all this unnecessary talk and unnecessary explanation. Okay. You know, I just want us to look at this part with myself. So in 2017, 2018, 2019, I was in a very critical position. And I'm sharing this, and I hope my family members are watching with caution. I love you guys, wherever you are in the world. You know, I love you so much. But I have to share this so that, because we are, going down to the solution part and wrap up the show for today. Now, I got a call from home, and I was told that they can no longer afford to pay my school fees. And this was my second semester for my master's. And it was destructing. And something inside of me died. Because I was in a country where there was nothing. There was no job. There was nothing. It's either you are for God or you are not for God. Like, you just have to choose one side. You cannot be on the fence. You know, that kind of thing. So I was in a particular country. And, every day, I'll pray, lagadada, speak in tongues, kabash. But there was no money. And the funny thing was, it got worse. At some point, I was homeless. I couldn't pay. And I had flatmates. Wherever you guys are in the world, you're in China, there's one person in China, one person in America, and the other one in Canada. I love you guys. Thank you so much for that experience. One day, two of my flatmates told me that I'm the only one in this house that doesn't have money. Because I couldn't pay my bills. My landlord chased me out. And Holy Spirit. And I had people who saw me and were like, you know what, come, I'll teach you. They would teach me how to do this. I had somebody who bought a laptop for me. I said, I will teach you till you become good in this thing. Come and live with me. I said no. The first time, I said no the second time. And I said no the third time. The third time I said no. In fact, at that period, let me just say it as it is. I did not have a phone. I did not have a laptop. So I would leave my house. Mom, you're watching this and you can bear witness. I'll leave my house. I'll go to school in summer with the school bus to use the school's computer to chat to my mom on email because I did not have a phone. So I was in such a crazy situation. My school fees was piling up because they put interest on your school fees. So I had nothing. So like there was literally nothing. I had nothing. And that day I was going to school to catch the bus. And a tourist, a lady, parked beside me and said I should come and sleep with her. From the UK. Guess how much they were going to pay me? That was 2018. 250 euros. For that sex. Nobody in the freaking world will know. I've never shared this story with anybody. Like, my mom is surprised watching this. It's in my diary. I wrote it down. And that day I told God, I said, God, this land, some of you have heard me say this when I preach. I said the land of this country will favor me, the water will favor me, the air will favor me. Yeah. That was where I learned that. And I started to decree that word. It didn't take me 3 weeks. Somebody called me and said, I applied for a job for you in my office. Come and resume work. Wow. After that situation, after that scenario. And by the grace of God, I'm not where, now I've paid off my school fees, I've got my certificate, I've moved. But like, I can relate to the problem that people are going through, that they had nothing. Yeah. So when you see me, it's like, oh, this guy is lovely. You don't know my story, you don't know where I'm coming from. So I can really relate to that. So I just want to talk about the solutions. What do you think people can do? People that want to get out of this and they don't know how. People that want to stop this and they don't know how. We're wrapping up with this. What do you think they can do to get out? You guys are so now. When you heard my story, like, oh my God!
It's touching. Very touching.
And you know what? The fact that you could actually go through that and come out of it without compromising, it's something as a solution in itself.
Okay.
First, your mind has to be renewed. You have to transform your mindset. You know that you don't have to do this. I mean, we are in a generation where people celebrate fraudsters as mentors.
Instagram celebrities, social media celebrities.
I don't want to mention names, but I'm going to mention a company, Invictus.
Yes.
He was named as 30 under 30
on Forbes. No, I'm not standing up because my head got shook.
Someone.
Man, that guy,
he would come on TV, he'd come on newspaper and say, only believe it, you can do it, and all the motivation speakers everywhere. And then boom, things is still in prison.
Ah.
Yes, yes.
Man, that guy prepared me that period. Because I was like,
You know?
man, if I'm 30,
I'm
I'm
like,
this back.
Anyway, that was just my insight. That
Okay.
was just my insight.
Yes.
Talking about solutions.
Yeah.
Stop running other people's races.
Powerful.
True.
Don't run other people's races.
Yeah.
We all have individual races and
Yeah.
paces.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things my dad taught me when I was growing up was God's timetable moves slowly,
Yeah.
but it moves surely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's timetable for everyone.
Yes.
So that's one, stop running other people's races. Then these people who are involved in this stuff, they
Yeah.
already have skill sets. You can't be doing cyber fraud without having IT skills. One of the biggest industry in the world right now
Yeah.
is the IT industry.
Yeah.
You know, my brother just quit his job as a nursing person in the UK to take up a role in IT.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's
Awesome.
getting paid almost twice what he was getting as a nurse. So
Awesome.
it is a huge industry.
Yeah.
Follow the trends.
Yeah.
There are people doing UI, UX designs right now.
Yeah, they're
they
making
sit
so
in their
much.
homes and they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
100K pounds at the end of every year.
Yes, true.
They build their houses, they buy their cars
Yeah.
with legit money.
Money.
So it can be done. Use these skills for good and not for fraud.
Yes.
Yes.
Miss Lisa, what do
I
you
would
have to
say
say?
from your story, I
Yeah.
would say that everyone should just believe that that moment of compromise, just a minute
Yeah.
after that moment of compromise
Yeah.
comes the real blessing.
Yeah.
Just a minute
Yeah.
after that moment of compromise comes the real blessing. So if you choose to compromise at that moment, then you have already set a path for yourself.
Yes.
You begin in that new path.
Yes.
And if you choose to stand strong, then you enjoy the blessing, just
Yeah.
like your story.
Yeah.
It's really touching, seriously, I must say.
Okay, so I want to read 2 comments before I go because it's like I want to be sober, then we can round up. Mr. Dixon is saying, I hope it is Mr. Dixon Damien. He's saying people need to learn to be resilient in bad times. The solution will never be in fraud or prostitution, but staying true to our values and goals. Mr. Damien is saying, Bro Stephen, thanks. God's time moves slowly but moves surely. I'm taking this home. Thank you so much for that. I also want to say this for the prostitution part. Okay, Mrs. Aramu is saying people into internet fraud are always scared because they feel they might get caught and their properties don't last. Mr. Neo Adedayo is saying, what is the role of the church? Okay, sir, I think you have to go back to the beginning of the show. Like we talked about this, that the church is supposed to change the mindset of people and not encourage them, but support them and help them develop skills that can help them remain relevant in the 21st century. So just go back to the beginning of the video and you'll get all of this in the video. Thank you very much. Wrapping up with this. Now, for prostitutes, for you to sell yourself to somebody to sleep with you, that means you're a good marketer. You know how to market yourself for them to buy into you. You have marketing skills. You have branding skills. Because prostitution even has level. They are escorts, they are baby people. So you know how to brand premium client services, PCS. So you can brand yourself. So you know about branding. That is a skill. And the world needs brand marketers today. Yes. So that's something you can invest in. You know, okay, there's this lady, Brenda Myers-Powell. She was a prostitute for 25 years. And like she's a big deal in America. Just Google her name, Brenda Myers-Powell. Like I had to read up on her, on how she changed her life with prostitution. She learned so much on how to brand from being a prostitute. And she moved out of that and she has helped her kids, even though now she's like HIV positive and all of that. But like she's helping girls grow out of those things and move out. So you have that. Now for the fraudsters, your creativity, you are creative. Absolutely. You have patience. You have perseverance. You can push. It's not easy to stay and be, you are a creative storyteller.
Exactly.
African prince. How you tell story that somebody, you are a storyteller, you can write.
Absolutely.
People write content, people copyright these days, and they make mad money from it. You know, Mr. Steve was talking about IT. You can do IT, you can also brand. You can also build software. So these are amazing things you can do to, you know, grow out of these things. And God is definitely going to help us in Jesus' name. Any last words? So we'll wrap up the show. We need to wrap up. Yes, thank you.
On a final note, I would say that from the perspective we've talked about fraud and prostitution today, it wasn't from casting aspersions on anybody. If you're involved in any of these things, we're not talking to you based on the fact that we're judging. We're just saying that there are different paths that people can take, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the fraud part. So if this touched you in any way, it's not just to cast aspersion, it's also to make you look at beyond now what you want to do with your life.
True.
Awesome. Miss Lisa,
just like what he just said, this is not a show, it's not judgmental, we're not being judgmental, but we're here to tell you that there is no good side to fraud and prostitution. It is unethical. It is not moral. For your safety, for your sake, we've heard of the negative sides to fraud and prostitution. So we just have to be positive for our sakes and for our families.
Yes, thank you very much. And for my side, I want you to know that in case they ask your kids in school, what does my father do and what does my mother do, what will they say about you? That's a very good question to take home. So they ask you, is your dad an engineer? Is your dad a teacher? Is your dad a banker? And they say, no, my dad just stays at home, presses his laptop all through. Are we good examples to the younger generation? Let us do the needful. Or what does your mom do? She just sleeps at home. She goes out, she dresses beautifully, and she comes back with money. Let's change that narrative for ourselves. Okay, and I want to tell you that God is actually there to meet you at the point of your need, and God can transform you from where you are to where you're supposed to be. Thank you so much for joining us this week, and it was really amazing talking to you guys. Thank you for all your comments, your like, your shares, and putting in so much energy today. Before we leave the show, we would like to celebrate our media director for Youth Arise Chatline. He celebrated his birthday yesterday, Mr. Olusegun Aremu. On behalf of everybody in Youth Arise Chatline, we appreciate and celebrate you greatly and wish you happy birthday. Happy birthday. We celebrate you and your family, and we pray that God will continually bless you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you so much for your labor of love and your support, for always making Youth Arise Chatline a success. God bless you, sir. Please give him your birthday wishes in the comment section, and also call him, to just wish him happy birthday. Also, we're announcing this for all our tour lovers. You want to tour the country, you want to go out on holiday, we have the Cappadocia Balloon Festival taking place this week, the 24th to the 26th of September 2021, and you can register with the numbers displayed on the screen. It's just 650 TL. I think that's a little less than $100 now. You can just register and be part of this tour so you can enjoy yourself. So thank you so much for joining today. Please just with your name, just tell us your names and we sign out and we leave. Yes.
My name is Stephen Adebisi, and it's been fun sharing with you today.
Yes, please.
My name is Lisa Akuna, signing out.
Okay, thank you very much. My name remains Emmanuel Akai, so thank you so much for joining us. Till we see you again next time, don't forget God got your back and He can help you through any situation. We're not criticizing you, we love you with the love of God, and God is your help and strength. God bless you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.